Hi everyone, and welcome back. Another Q&A. Today we have a special. I call it Reddit Reacts, a new experiment where we get the questions from Reddit. We're going to see what's up, what people are pondering about nowadays in the field of tech. So let's dive right in. What's a good first question? After a decade of software development, now what? I worked as a software engineer for over a decade and I don't want to do it anymore. But I want to stay in this domain. What jobs should I pursue? Interesting. I think in general, people are going to face this. For me, I'm now experimenting as a product manager. So even me, I kind of was like, okay, is this what I want to do full time? But since I've stepped out of it, I actually think I want to go back to software engineering because I miss this fulfillment in delivering software, actually being the person that creates the features and the functionality and that delivers rather than orchestrates. But in any case, if you're sick of software engineering, but you want to stay in the field, look at what's next to you, what you think might be interesting. If you're working in a traditional agile environment with Scrum as a framework, you might look into the PM role. You might go into people management where you are responsible for educating, cultivating talent, making sure people are happy, personal development, and probably more. Budgeting, lots of interesting conversations with other stakeholders and different political agendas. Think of it also in terms of environment. Is this current environment the one you want to stay at? Is it a bigger organization, medium sized? Is it more startup-like? If you're really sick of software engineering on a more hands-on basis, but you still want to be in the field, there are things that you can still leverage with regards to your skill set. I had a person on recently on the podcast. He's responsible for developer productivity. I think it's phenomenal and a very interesting topic. That might be something for you. So definitely look around you. Something will definitely catch your eye with regards to interests. Because if it does not, then yeah, maybe this tech field is just not for you anymore. And you want to do something else in and of its own. All right, this is a long one. My company just rejected a guy because he talked too much. I did a technical screening today with a candidate and he seemed very knowledgeable about what he was doing. He explained his thought process and overall he was the best candidate for the job. He seemed genuinely interested and was even familiar with the tech stack. Later that day, I went into a meeting to debrief about the candidate and it was decided we're not going to move forward with him due to his excessive talking. I understand it's important to get to the point, but come on. Is it to the extent that he was unhireable? I don't think so. I don't interview people too often, but I usually help out when they need it. Has anyone else had a similar experience that was this make or break? Man, I've never had this experience that it was that make or break, but I have been in hiring positions. And when I don't even get a question in or when I get interrupted, I do think of myself or think to myself, do I want to work with this person? If it's to the point where we cannot have a reasonable conversation or a discussion or this person is not open to other opinions specifically, then yeah, it does make me view them in a negative light, I would say. I would say my advice, talk to the people, talk to your colleagues. Your opinion is only one, get their other perspectives in. Maybe it was definitely just that, a feeling. In the end, an interview is a very subjective process. Maybe your interviewers had a different experience with other candidates that they might have hired to a negative effect, basically. So there could be a lot of things going on, actually. The only way for you to know is ask. If it's really due to excessive talking, then for me, yeah, that's not really the single sole point to make someone be unhireable. So I don't think that was the only argument. Definitely ask that question. I don't think I would not hire someone due to them talking excessively. It would have to be something extra, something that really just, I don't know, pushes my buttons in the wrong way. Makes me really not want to work with this person. So yeah, I wouldn't hire someone due to only excessive talking. What about you? What computer science jobs are the chillest? I really don't want a job that pays 200K plus. Someone wrote plus. But burns me out within a year. I'm fine with a bit of a pay cut in exchange for the work climate being more relaxed. Yeah, 200 plus. You only get that in, I think, very high-paced big tech or startup environments with high risk and high reward. So they really stress you out and they work you to the bone, to be honest. I mean, if that's the environment, you also get paid for that. So think about that. If you want a more relaxed environment, then look into the companies that are more relaxed. You can look at companies where they have a lower appetite for risk, I would say. Startups, higher appetite for risk, higher reward. Banks, insurance, slower organizations, more established. Even if you look at sustainability, energy, automotive, those would all move a lot slower, I would say. Pay is definitely lower. Tech is not on the first and foremost. They're not tech-driven companies fully. So especially in that tech part of the field, with a pay cut, things will move slower. I think if you feel like your career progression is kind of stagnating or there are no options, then also a company just wants you to coast and is happy with you not growing, which means, yeah, they're a bit more relaxed of a company to work in. I wouldn't say the role specifically. I would still say, yeah, if you want to be software engineer, look into the environments, look at that companies that are more established, where tech is not their main driver, and then you'll be able to coast, to be honest. I don't think it's for me. I like growing fast. I like high-pitched, fast-paced environments, but I also don't really have that many responsibilities yet. No house, no marriage, no kids, so I can still go work remote for a couple months a year, and I will do so. High-paced environments are for me currently, but it might not be for you. Is job hopping still a thing in 2024? Considering all the tech layoffs, is job hopping still a thing for computer science or software engineer employees who weren't laid off? Or is it dead for the foreseeable future? I don't want to stay in my department forever, but back in 2021, I even got jobs I wasn't qualified for. Nowadays, I hear we are impressed with your skill set, but then I don't get the job. Presumably, because there's a lot of Amazon workers applying for jobs now. Man, that's messed up. So yeah, is job hopping still a thing? I love, by the way, I read this and even the first comment. According to 95% of the posts here, it's more job hoping than job hopping, which I think is hilarious, but also sad in a bit. The market was very different. So there were way more companies hiring. I wouldn't say there were less people. I think companies are now downsizing due to, they're looking at the costs, right? There might be a recession coming soon. They're basically making sure that they don't have as much overhead when it comes to tech, that departments really create value, the value that they want. And this is all assumptions from my side because I'm not in any leadership positions. But if I see companies reduce their tech workforce with about tens of thousands, then I'm like, yeah, if you can do that, which is insane, just looking at the number of people and the lives that it impacts, then apparently there was a lot wrong to begin with. So maybe there was overhiring in this job market that you were thinking of back in 2021, 2022. And now they're just downsizing as a result of it. But still, I think a lot of bigger organizations can definitely do the same in a more leaner variant. So that's what we're seeing now. I don't think this is going to be the end all be all. I think with that many people now open in the job market, they might start their own ventures. Because if you get fired once, if you get crossed like that, then you might think, well, I'm just going to start something for myself. And then that never ever happens to me. So I think good will come out of that. I do think we're in a phase at the end of the day. I think you can still job hop, to be honest. People from my company are leaving, new people are coming in. So it still happens. I think you will have to work on the skill set that is interviewing, and not just interviewing, but really getting your foot in the door, right? Networking is a thing. If you apply and the company doesn't know you, no one in that company knows you, then you're like everyone else. But if you already have a relationship with the hiring manager, if you send a message to someone in the team on LinkedIn, you do it in a nice way. You don't do it to be obnoxious, but you have a few points in your pocket already that, separates you from the herd that is out there applying. So definitely job hopping is a thing. Just do it better than anyone else, basically, and you'll still succeed. Why don't I job hop? I don't job hop right now because I'm actually happy with what I'm doing. I have the podcast. I have many responsibilities. I'm going to run for office. And I'm going to run for the Workers' Council. So there's always something new for me to do. But it is an interesting question for myself. I sometimes wonder, I sometimes ponder, and I sometimes interview. I don't think that's going to be the only thing stopping me. If a new opportunity lands and the interview process goes well, and I get a lot of new responsibilities and I see myself growing, then that's going to be a decision-making factor for me, and I will switch. I don't think I'm glued to the current company. So yeah, it's basically my career path and my growth. I'm happy right now if I can accelerate somewhere else with interesting and exciting opportunities. The world is my oyster, as they say. Should people job hop for money, or is loyalty more important? This is always an interesting, discussion I see mainly on LinkedIn. Maybe it's due to the people I follow. There's one camp that says companies are there for themselves. You watch out for your own back, which basically backs job hopping, making as much money as possible. It is true that when you hop, you come in relatively at a higher bracket salary-wise, which is going to accelerate. If you want to earn, I think job hopping is still the better thing because it basically outpaces the trend you would have being loyal to a company. So that's in one camp. I do like that if you're in the right organization, you can really make a difference. And your tenure, if you've been there for many years, you can leverage in any type of decision making. You can make sure, just by virtue of you having faster buy-in, having better and deeper trust with people, you can move an organization. And in the end, I think it's a trade-off, because if you're in a startup very early on and you're there for 5 years, very loyal, that can be very lucrative, because some of the incentives and some of the movements you can create can also come back to you. And if it's small enough, people will know you as a person. Now, if you want to job hop, you can do that likely within bigger organizations. There's a saying, and it's all hearsay for me because I'm not in that environment, but the tech space in San Francisco, people job hop from Amazon to Google to Apple to Microsoft to Netflix and beyond. And it's basically a pool of people that just moves and migrates, right? It's easier to fire people. It's easier to hire people. It's easier to switch maybe in that pool if you have the right experience. And then probably salaries go through the roof. So that's the benefit of job hopping, but that's also a specific pool of companies then that you can do that in with the experience that you have. So it's definitely a trade-off. I am not a job hopper right now. I have hopped jobs. Like this job hopping, I think as a term is just BS anyway. Switching is healthy for you, for your career and for your growth. Think about what you want. It's like the fast-paced environment versus the more relaxed environment, basically. Think of what you want, think of the personal dynamics that you're in, and choose wisely. All right. Any advice on how to approach my manager who said ChatGPT generated a program to solve a problem you were working on for 3 days and it did it in 5 minutes? Damn. I'm not going to read this whole description. It's basically a person that's being faced with his manager, confronting him that he took too long with a task that he estimated incorrectly and he wants more accurate estimates. It's a bit of a mess, to be honest. My advice, honestly, have a candid conversation with your manager. This person said the manager is not technical, which is a bit of an issue. I mean, that's just the reality. Not every manager is of a technical background. And especially with magic, that is ChatGPT, there's a conversation that needs to be had. This person tried to advocate and got a bit more defensive with regards to where the time was spent. And I don't think that's a good angle to have with your manager. I don't think you want to be defensive in that conversation. You want to try and understand where the manager comes from, right? Why do they want, more productive engineers? I think you can probably figure, but it's probably good to ask that question and have their perspective, right? Because assumptions, you know what they say about assumptions, just make sure you have the facts, basically. Then once you understand your manager's point of view, you can share your own take. Because I'm assuming you can use ChatGPT and you consciously chose not to use it. Or if you did not choose to use it, learn from it and also share it with your manager. All right, I'll do so in the future. But still, probably the tweaks in infrastructure and making sure it's integrated. It's not just a magic tool. It doesn't integrate with existing code. Definitely educate your manager as well. If that candid conversation does not play out the way you want it to, you have two, I think, environments or two options, basically. Skip level manager, people hate escalating. I really do not care, to be honest. If that conversation with your manager does not go well and it really impacts your work, you only have so many options, right? You can go to colleagues, or you can go to skip level, you can escalate, basically. It's a conversation that needs to be had because it will impact you, your work environment, and your colleagues. That also leads me to the second part. If this is the environment and this really impacts you, might not be the environment for you anymore, right? I really like if my leadership understands the technical side of things, because that makes my communication, the effort I put in there, we just click more. We just understand each other more. I don't have to explain as much. I don't want to try and convince people why I'm not as productive, why they just think magic exists. It's a bit of a weird conversation. So if that is the case and the environment is not for you anymore, then yeah, do your job. In the meantime, look elsewhere and eventually switch, I would say. It's maybe a bit short-sighted, a bit black and white. But yeah, at some point, you only have so many options. ChatGPT is magic. And for people that don't know tech, definitely you're going to get some questions in the wrong environments. This post just says, are Scrum Masters too much overhead? It's a link to a blog, but I think I can answer the question. It really depends on the role specifically in the organization. So my experience with a Scrum Master, I've only been in one environment where there was a dedicated Scrum Master and they were very black and white, things by the book. And there I was like, honestly, this was probably I don't know how many years ago. I was like, this person is basically unnecessary. Maybe it was because I was a bit earlier in career. But since then, I also have not had a dedicated Scrum Master, a person that is only Scrum Master, in my teams. It would either be a person from the team doing Scrum Master things. I had one person, then I had the responsibility. So that person at some point was me as well. Or we don't have a Scrum Master. And I think that's fine. You don't need a Scrum Master if you can do things in a mature way. All right. Partner -- software engineer keeps getting fired from all jobs. From all jobs. That is insane. On average, he gets fired every 6 to 12 months. Damn. Excuses are demanding boss, nasty boss, kids on video, kids in the background of the video probably. Otherwise, we found the problem. Does not get work done in time, does not meet deadlines, etc., etc. You name it. It's everyone else's fault. Every single job he had since 2015, he's been fired and we lost health insurance. Oh my God. Is it standard to be fired so frequently? Is this not a career fit? I'm ready to leave him. Man, this escalated. I'm ready to leave him as it feels like this is another child to take care of. He's a good father. Oh my God, he's a father. But I'm tired of this. Worst part, he does not seem bothered. Any advice? Yes. Oh my God, there's a lot to unpack there. If you're already thinking of leaving him, pin that specifically. He's a dad, partner, maybe not married. I have no clue. All right, I'm not going to give any marriage advice. Specifically in this career, I can do career advice, no marriage advice. That goes beyond me. Specifically for this career, I think it's not normal to get fired every 6 to 12 months, especially since 2015. That's a bit insane. There's definitely something wrong with the attitude of this partner. Because it's not a normal thing, all right? Not a normal thing. What type of organizations is he applying for? Are they the right fit with his type of style of working, right? If he works in high demanding environments, in startups, and he has a kid and the kids are in the video in the background, maybe these types of environments don't think is professional, right? If you're in a bank or an insurance company where maybe looks matter and the way you dress matter, then maybe kids in the background of the video, not the best thing. If it's not the kid in the background of the video, if it's the boss, then why did he get hired in the first place? If he doesn't like his boss or if they don't have a good relationship, there's a lot of things that it could be wrong, basically. I think my biggest bet, or my smallest bet, I should say, is the type of company that he works in, right? If the company is more relaxed, then he can also make do with being more relaxed. If the company expects him to coast, if there's usually not many management opportunities, growth opportunities, individual contributor growth paths, then that means the company is expecting the people not to grow as fast, right? Not every company offers insane growth paths because not everyone wants an insane growth path. So he should look towards companies that are like that. Probably you as his partner know which type of companies he's worked at. And yeah, I'm staying away from marriage advice, but you need to talk to each other, I think. Damn, I've never seen it that bad. Move to Europe, okay? It's way harder to get fired in Europe. 6 to 12 months is insane. You get 2 months probation. Once you're in, it's really hard to get you out, all right? It's very bad for startup environments, but it's very good from an employee perspective. Yeah, you also earn less. So with less high stakes comes less high rewards. I think that makes sense. Move to Europe. I think that's my final. Come here, Europe. Yeah, those are all assumptions. I don't know if you live in Europe. If so, then there's definitely something wrong because he got fired many times. My God, things escalated. All right, from the Apple Sucks subreddit, Mac is not better for programming. All right, so Mac, and this person goes into keyboard specifics. All right, get an external keyboard if you're very particular on the keyboards and what type of Mac keyboard you have. Oh my God. I came from a Windows laptop. I tried to do things on that Windows laptop. I installed many programs to let me do basic bash scripting. This was years ago. And probably the experience on Windows has gotten a lot better. But I switched to Mac and I never looked back, basically. My peers convinced me, they were all consultants, they were all from this company, they all had Macs. They were like, probably you would be more productive and effective and get faster at learning and picking up things if you had a better laptop. With that argument, I went to my manager and my manager made magic happen. I got a new laptop. I got the Mac that I wanted. And from that point on, I did feel more productive. So I'm very biased. I grew up with a Mac. I still have a Mac. I think Linux is just as fine. I pair program with people that have a Linux, or a Windows laptop and Linux OS, blah, blah, blah. So I think in the end, it doesn't matter. Make sure you are productive in whatever you use. Sometimes I pair program with people and I can see they are not as quick on the keyboard. They don't use any hotkeys, no shortcuts, drag their mouse around and they click and it takes a bit longer. And it's very hard to be productive if that's your way of working. That's why I like pair programming. I can see what type of bindings people do to get to their editor or to get to their terminal as quick as possible. And I copy everything because it makes me more productive. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Use whatever you feel most productive at, but do make sure you become very, very productive with a small asterisk if you don't want to coast. All right, none of that coasting. All my advice is not for people that want to coast. So yeah, that's it. Apple fanboy. I do not go to the Apple Sucks subreddit, but this came upon my path. All right. This got sent in by my producer. Non-technical founder totally demoralized after 2.5 years of building. About a year into building my app as a first-time non-technical founder, I became frustrated with the progress of the team I hired. Mainly, it was the slowness, amount of bugs, blah, blah, blah. Team that was built, this was an Indian dev shop team, and the total spent was about 25K. Damn. I decided to make a switch from that to an American who was more startup and MVP focused. It has now been another year since I hired him. Since then, the speed of progress is about 30% of the original Indian team. Yeah, makes sense. The scope was gutted and it's now about 40% of what it was. And the cost is 10 times, yes, an order of magnitude more expensive. Another damn. All right, I'm super frustrated, very frustrated. What should I do? I can't make any determinations based on the code base myself. Again, non-technical founder. Is the American developer worth it or should I go back to the Indian team? Oh, wow. There's a lot of red flags in here, okay? Non-technical founder, you have a big liability, basically. If you don't want to figure out anything yourself, then you basically just put your money where a big risk is, wherever you put it. When it's a single person, regardless of which country or which environment they come from, single person, big risk. Team that's probably across the ocean because this person looks to be from the Americas. Also big risk, okay? Why don't you do it yourself? You already spent 25K. Is it that big of a scope to test your ideas in practice, in market, live with real users? Usually my assumption is you can probably start small. Do it yourself, to be honest. Do it with ChatGPT nowadays. Let it be your guide in your learning process. At least become a bit more technical. If tech just doesn't really lean well with you, if it's all gibberish, if you really cannot and you don't want to spend the time specifically, big red flag. But then at least give half your equity to a technical founder. Go to one of those, I don't know, startup meetups that might be around. Find someone maybe online that has a track record of good practice. Discuss your vision with them and see if they're interested. And let them actually, don't pay them, but give them equity basically, all right? Spending already 25K and then another, I don't know how much money is insane if you don't know anything technical, right? How can you take that responsibility? It's basically throwing your money away, to be honest. It's like gambling. Let's see what pays out of it. It might sound harsh, but to be honest, this whole post was full of red flags, okay? Technical founder or non-technical founder, it looks like you have maybe too much money and you didn't mind spending it. That's a lot of assumptions from my side. But you can do better, all right? Either teach yourself or find the right person to help you if this is what you want to do. Startups fail. They fail for a reason. This might be one of them. Make sure to either drop whatever you're doing and start again or indeed continue. But make sure you're not anchored by your previous mistakes. Otherwise, you're never going to succeed. That's it. All right. The title is, Am I Cooked? I'm currently studying computer science in Austria as an international student. I'm trying my genuine hardest every year, and I'm trying to get internships and create projects. Will I be able to find a good programming job? Or will I be unemployed like the rest of you? Damn, this person's looking for advice, but he's coming throwing stones, basically. Man, for any person that's graduating computer science, if you are trying your best in creating projects, in finding internships, you're doing the right thing, basically. I still think there are a lot of tech jobs. There are a lot of problems to be solved at companies, or you can start your own. But if you come throwing stones, people will hit you with fire, especially on Reddit. So maybe don't be so controversial. You'll definitely find something. Time is the only factor. Might be a bit harder nowadays. If that's already demotivating for you, then goodbye, because probably you're not going to make it. If you stick with it, with enough time, you'll land the first job and you'll grow from there. So yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. Will I be unemployed like the rest of you? Damn. All right. I blew a technical and I cannot get over it. Oh yeah. It's been a week and I can't get over it. It was a good opportunity and within my abilities, 100%. But I psyched myself out. Too many things happening in my life, too many things at once made me shut down. I have another interview this week with a great company too, and I'm psyching myself out again. Man, this sucks. Man, this post makes me very, very sad, all right? Especially if you've been interviewing many, many times and you get rejection over and over again. And if you are convinced it was 100% within your capabilities, yeah, it sucks. Like, what do you want me to say? It's, you got to learn how to get back up. That's the only thing. You will land something. Again, time is the only factor here. And it definitely sucks. For people starting out, would I advise to start not with your dream company? No, also no. You get better at specific interviews and specifically for those companies. Once you get a rejection from Google, I mean, you can still apply to Google. It doesn't really matter that you've been excluded and blacklisted and you can never apply again. It's not a thing, basically. Learn from it and do better next time. That's it. If your personal life is in a turmoil, honestly, why don't you just put a pin in interviewing? Because it will impact the interviewing process, right? Even if you land a job, maybe throughout that interview process, they get the wrong view of you. And by virtue of that interviewing process, you might not get the offer you wanted, or you might get a lower offer and you might accept that. Make sure you have your home front up in order before you interview, all right? It takes a lot out of you. Some people interview and they make it their whole job, basically. I don't know any people that do that during when they have a job, but before they have a job, it can be a job to interview. That's all I wanted to say. So if it is your job, then those are your competitors, basically. If you have kids running around, if your relationship with your partner is a mess, then that will definitely impact you. So make sure you have everything up in order, everything up to par, and then ace it on the interview. And if not, get back up and try again and do that over and over. You got this. All right. Stressful at work. What do you do as a senior software engineer when your manager pressurizes you to do research work in a short deadline without proper communication? Also, they're switching perspectives. He never collaborates with me. He compares me with others, which is demotivating. And this has been happening recently. Previously, I've contributed to many projects over time and I never got the credit. I'm very frustrated and I'm feeling burnt out. Due to the current job market, I'm not able to resign without any offer. Please help me. That sounds like a tough time, to be honest. Manager pressurizes you. I don't know if that's the right word. Manager puts pressure on you. Short deadlines. You don't feel valued. You don't feel appreciated. I mean, if this is all the manager, have a conversation with the manager. It might not be the most manly thing, but talk about your feelings. Talk about what it does to you. Give them feedback. Not every manager is open to that, but you will never know if you do not have this conversation with this person. My assumption is you've never tried, because I feel a lot of frustration, and frustration builds up without proper communication. Man, put that on a pillow. Yeah, frustration builds. So definitely have that conversation with them. There can be two outcomes, right? One, the manager says, "Oh, sorry, was not my intention." We'll change their behavior. Best outcome, probably. You can have a proper dialogue with them. They'll probably ask you for more feedback. Ideal pink cloud dream scenario, probably. If it doesn't happen that your manager is very receptive to this information, look at yourself. Did you give this properly, feedback-wise? Were you not just complaining? Did you not just put more work on your manager's plate. So if the feedback is applied right and given to the manager, they're not open to it, it's not the right work environment for them. Internally, you can check if you can switch to another team, different manager, different perspectives. If that's not possible, again, I'm very not the environment for you. That's the end. That's always the last one, not the environment for you. It sucks that the job market is not ideal. However, you do have a job, right? You can stick to this job. Don't work any overtime. I mean, it's not expected of you, I'm assuming. If there are short deadlines, fire back and say these are not realistic, basically. Even though you are senior, it doesn't mean they can just put shorter deadlines on you. That's not what seniority means. It also means you're expected to talk back and say, this is realistic, right? And this is healthy because I am feeling burnt out. And the worst would be if I am burnt out, because then, at least in Europe, I only speak for the European market. Company pays, you are burnt out, you don't work, company still pays. So worst, basically. You feel awful, you are burnt out. Company is missing an employee that will do the short deadlines. So their deadlines will get messed up anyway. So that's the dialogue, basically. If none of that works, you can always work and still apply for jobs. That's what a lot of people are doing. Even though the job market is not optimal, I do strongly believe that if you have the right skills, you can land a job in any job market because there will always be work for the right people. So, might not be you in this version of you, then see if you can upskill. See if you can actually do some interviews, learn from them. Is it your system design? Is it your algorithms? All right, these are the things you just have to go through during the interviews. So get better at it. And you can. It's just going to take time. Don't stress out too much about it. That's definitely how you get into a burnout. If you're lying in bed, awake, think about work, not a good sign. Take a holiday, take some days off. All right. I already touched on this partially. However, is it worth learning programming in 2024, this year? I started learning programming 1 month ago, and I have understanding in basic HTML and CSS. I can build some simple sites, rebuild them without a problem, but I need to learn a lot more about data structures, and I'm planning to learn JavaScript afterwards. What do you people think? Is it worth to learn all of that in 2024? AI is getting better and better. ... That's how it ends. Man, cliffhanger. It's true. AI is getting better and better, and so are the people using it. I think currently, October 2024, AI is very good at doing stuff that has already been done, and then you can leverage that and integrate it to whatever you need to. I still think it needs some tweaks when it comes to integration. It's very good at, if you can use it, making you more productive in whatever you're trying to do. All right. Prompting is a thing, asking the right questions, which means you do need some prior knowledge with regards to whatever programming language you're working in, whatever framework or setup you have, infrastructure here and there as well. So definitely that knowledge is valuable. I think programming and the jobs within tech will always be there. Even though AI can get better and better, the people that are going to use this and leverage this and be more productive and create more things faster in a higher quality will be the differentiating factor that companies look at for hiring. So if that can be you, then definitely do so. I would love to see more studies of people using AI to accelerate their own learning, because I don't think many people talk about that. I think I've named it and mentioned it a few times. I think it can be a huge accelerating factor in education, personalized in the format that you want it. I saw Google came out with a tool that basically can create a podcast out of a blog post. I know a person that their whole WhatsApp history with their partner created a podcast out of that. And it blew my mind, all right, that it is possible. I did not listen to that podcast because that's very personal, all right? But it tailors towards, from an education standpoint, to what you want. Are you a good listener? Do you like podcasts? I mean, you're listening to one. So do you not like reading? Turn it into a podcast and then listen to it and educate yourself. Ask questions, have a dialogue, and educate yourself better. Really try and understand. Now, all of this can only be possible when there's a high degree of accuracy and a low latency when it comes to the history of information. And I think we're getting better and better. That's why I'm very interested to see if people can accelerate their learning journeys. And I want to see some research and I want to see some studies. So hopefully soon we can leverage and fall back on that when it comes to giving advice. Because right now it's all hearsay, it's all for me. Yeah, it's definitely worth it, I would say, still. And I think it will be worth it. Definitely also leverage the new tooling that comes out, which are a bit more established, maybe not super booming innovation, because those might die, but stuff like AI is definitely now established, so use it. I think that was all the questions we had for today. I really enjoyed it. Very thought-provoking. I picked out a few questions. My producers sent me some questions, and I really, really enjoyed it. Very interesting. I'm going to leave some comments actually on Reddit. I don't do that often. I'm a lurker, but I might actually summarize my content, or I might have an AI summary of the answer to that question, and then I'll post it on Reddit. That'd be ideal, but I'm way too lazy to figure that out. So thank you for listening. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if we should do more, because I love little experiments. And if your feedback is good, we'll keep doing it. See you on the next one.